with a huge topical story. Many thousands of people have gathered in central London to protest at the government's lockdown strategy since the beginning of the pandemic. One of those people in attendance is ex-BBC and ITV reporter Anna Brees, who joins us now. Hi, Anna.
Hello, how are you?
Really, really well. Great to have you on the show. I know it's been the end of a long, hard day for you. Why did you go to this protest?
Well, I have never been to a protest before, and I'm now, I went into training. I left the BBC a while ago. But I had to ask myself today, did I go as a journalist or did I go as a protester? No, I actually went as a mother. I went there as a mother with serious concerns. And for me, I think a huge turning point for me was the mandatory masks or the suggestion that children over the age of 11 have to wear masks in communal areas and on the bus.
Yeah. And
my little boy, he's 11, he's my firstborn, has been out of school for 6 months. He's quite shy. He's not spent a lot of time with his friends, very excited but very nervous about going to secondary school. And to think of him having to walk around the corridors, and I know he's so shy and wants to follow the rules that he wouldn't take his mask off and ask for directions, okay? And it could be hot weather. He could be wearing a mask that he's worn the day before that has, that's got a lot of germs on it. And then I also yesterday found that my children, the younger children that I have at primary school, the rules of them going back is they're going to be in a dinner hall and they're all going to be facing inwards. They're not allowed to face each other. There's no face-to-face interaction in the dinner hall.
That's right. They're going to have to sit all in a kind of row staring at the wall like they're in a detention centre, like Guantanamo Bay rather than the primary school.
Well, I'm exactly. And this has been a situation of cognitive dissonance. Put a frog in a pot of cold water and slowly turn the heat up. If you'd told me in March that this would be happening now, and it's not just my children, it's all of these other children, and not a day goes by without us hearing of some tragic story of a mother who's potentially killed her child, killed themselves, and the suicides, the mental health. And you're a journalist, you know how this works. There's no PR and communications agency for children or for people that want to kill themselves. But these stories are happening every single day. And I didn't just go today for my own children. I went for my 88-year-old neighbour who hasn't been out for 5 months, who hasn't been to church, who still, even though he can go to the shops, won't. He took his car off the road, so it's torn. And he can't get out of that fear cycle. I go for all the people who've lost their jobs. I went today because I thought it's so important that there's some kind of physical presence, that we're not just tweeting and sharing and posting. And there's a frustration that I see these really passionate, intelligent individuals just tweeting all the time, sending out texts. You have to go and be present in these situations. There is a time, there is a place. And people have said to me, well, we turned up at the Iraq protest in 2003, wasn't it? Just we didn't want to go to war with Iraq. There was 1 million people supposedly, and people say, well, that made no difference. But we're living in a different world now. I think, especially when it comes to the media, and I can't not do anything. This is a situation that for me is incredibly serious, and I had to get involved and use my platform, and that's all I've done. I mean, three, 4 months ago, I wasn't doing this. I wasn't a journalist. I don't like being a journalist. I don't like hearing my voice. I don't want to be an influencer. I don't want to be a gatekeeper of truth. I was an educator. But like an NHS, a retired NHS nurse that was called back into hospital to help out with the COVID crisis, I could see a desperate need for people like me to come back and rush back with this chaos when it comes to information and truth and trust, especially in the world of journalism and what you can believe, what you should believe and what you shouldn't believe.
Well, you've been very active on Twitter all day. You've put together a report which people can see. It's very impressive, and it's on your YouTube channel, and also you can just go to @Brees Anna, Brees Anna. One of your earlier tweets in the day, actually on your way to this protest, you said that you didn't feel like you were living in a democracy. And I think although many people might consider that an overstatement, actually a set of policies that lockdown involve, such as putting the entire economy on hold for 3 or 4 months, that's something you would expect us to be able to have a democratic conversation about. But at the moment, we don't have any say, do we?
Well, I was listening to the rules around having to quarantine when you come back from certain places. And forgive me, I don't know the name of the politician, but he said that you'd get a criminal record if you didn't adhere to that, those very strict quarantine rules.
Which is not true, is it?
But he said that. I was watching that this morning, and I didn't vote for that. I didn't know the politicians would say we would be having to stay in the house for 14 days when we return from holiday, or we'd get a criminal record. I mean, so yeah, what is a democracy? It's where you feel those in charge of the country are representing your views and your feelings and your opinions, and that these kind of things go through a legislative process. So,
well, indeed, I mean,
children,
the government the government, don't they? They have to fight tooth and nail in the House of Commons when they want to give the NHS an extra 10 or 20 billion pounds. But what we've seen in the last few months is borrowing exploding by about 300 billion, and no one bats an eyelid.
Well, exactly. Well, we were voting over tiny things before, and now you can't leave your house when you come back from France. You get a criminal record.
So, it's very compelling. It's very compelling, and all the things that you've laid out, I think, are up for discussion. Why do you feel other broadcast outlets are less amenable to this? I mean, did you see the BBC, Sky, ITV, or anyone else down at these protests today?
I mean, I assume they usually have the big cameras, so no, I didn't when I was there. And a woman came up to me, and she's, I've interviewed her, and she's on my YouTube channel. She said, yeah, what do you talk to your former colleagues from BBC ITV? Aren't they ashamed of themselves? They must know what's going on. They must feel really uncomfortable doing the jobs that they're doing at the moment by not reflecting what we're hearing and seeing on the social media. And it's just the balance. It's having a debate about, herd immunity. It's having a debate about hydroxychloroquine. I can never say that word properly.
Yeah.
It's having a debate. It's having balance. Is missing from, particularly, and this is interesting, BBC, Sky, Guardian have been particularly biased, I would say, and they have, and I would be ashamed to work for them. But then I have seen things from the Spectator and the Telegraph which have been very, very good. So, it's interesting to see how the media has changed really over the last few months. So, I used to work with Alistair Bunkle, who's at Sky News, and I know they got rid of Matt Letizia, who was Sky Sports pundit, and
who was an outspoken critic of lockdown.
He was an outspoken critic of lockdown, and let's just say I'm not sure that was a huge coincidence they got rid of him. So I said to Alistair Bunkle, I said, aren't you deeply ashamed for working for that organisation? I used to work with Alistair at ATV back in 2003. And I'm sure he's embarrassed. He should be embarrassed that he works for Sky. I have no problem with saying that whatsoever. And it's more than that. I've seen Mark Austin, Sky News, on a Sky News Hour, interrupt a doctor. And just as he asked the doctor, do you think there'll be a second wave? The doctor said, no, I don't think there'll be a second wave. Mark Austin purposefully interrupted him. And I know that that's a fact, okay? And that's going to come out on my YouTube channel. More about that story is going to come out. Mark Austin knows that I know. It's simply unacceptable, simply completely unacceptable. But they all have, it's the same excuse, we've got a mortgage to pay. They have seen the other scientists, they've seen the professors, they know how the public feel, and the epidemiologists, the immunologists, the potential drugs that might work, and they are just ignoring it. But we have to be very careful about what we are attacking the media, because I'm very, very well aware it's what goes on behind the media, and we never talk about PR and comms, communication agencies and comms within corporations. That is feeding the media,
Well,
let's the media.
Yeah.
Let's look behind all of that. So
well, let's get back to that. Indeed, Anna, let's get to that because obviously, you know, Mark Austin and Sky News are not here to defend themselves. Here at Talk Radio.
Oh, no. I've got a response from Sky News. I'm completely legally safe to say all of this, and I'm very happy to send you their response.
Sure.
So I have spoken to Sky News about this, to their press office, and I've put these accusations to them and asked them for a response. I'm very happy to share that with you.
Fair enough, and I know